The sale of the Broncos means tens of millions of dollars headed for local communities. We found the deal tucked into an old contract. A new political group targets the governor with violent rhetoric. Senator Bennet ducks and dodges when we ask if he agrees with fellow Democrats who think their party is playing a dangerous game. You've stocked up a store where teachers shop for school supplies for free. And it's Friday, so you pick the headline so long as it's positive.
My good news is my mother, 73 years old, lover, finally retired.
And a final word as this program marks 6 years on the air about the people who made it happen and those who wished it didn't. On Next. Every Friday around here includes your good news. Rarely, though, is it our lead story. But we just found out about tens of millions of dollars coming back to Coloradans from the sale of the Denver Broncos. Our Marshall Zellinger explains why and where that money has to go.
It may not be our name on the stadium, but we own it. The west side of Mile High has markers for 6 of the 7 counties that help pay for New Mile High. Broomfield is the 7th, but doesn't have a marker because it wasn't a county until shortly after the stadium opened in 2001. When the Denver Broncos sold for $4.65 billion, it triggered a section of the stadium lease agreement that required the Boland Family Trust to share some of the profit with us. $41 million is being refunded back to local governments.
One of the things you're going to be asked to do today is to approve the sharing amount.
The board that oversees the stadium on behalf of metro area taxpayers received an accounting of the dollar amount, which they had to approve at a special meeting today.
That money would come to the district to be distributed back proportionally to the counties and municipalities that paid in the original tax.
Along with the 7 counties, these 40 towns and cities will also receive money back from the Broncos sale. The money will be shared proportionally. Well, what's that mean?
Proportionate would be if City, County of Denver contributed 26% of the sales tax, they get 26% of the proceeds.
Until 2011, a sales tax existed in these 7 counties. It was 1 penny on every $10 purchase to cover the $270 million in public money that paid for 75% of the stadium. We are not getting this money refunded directly to us. The lease agreement and state law explain how the money is supposed to be spent. Youth activity programs.
I probably wish it was a little bit more detailed as far as the language. The language is it would be youth, and it doesn't say youth sports, just youth in general, which kind of leads me to believe many municipalities may be thinking of the Parks and Recreation.
What is a youth activity program? I called a couple Parks and Rec offices today, and I got a list from swim lessons to after-school programs and youth sports. But there's perhaps nothing stopping a city, I'm being cynical maybe here, from taking the money and saying, hey, we're going to mow the parks more than we used to, or maybe we're going to collect the trash in the parks more than we used to, because, you know, the parks are for the youth.
For the kids.
I hope I'm wrong on that, but there will be an accounting. The district will, I hope, they said they would, ask the cities and the counties maybe a year later, how'd you spend that money?
Yeah.
I'll do it.
So wait, we're supposed to get 2% of the net profits, and the Broncos sold for $4.6 billion. I'm bad at the maths, but it does not seem like we're getting 2% of that.
You deduct capital costs and capital costs to you over the time that you've owned it for 42 years?
Oh, like what the Bolands put into the team over the years.
Right. And so half of the money went away off the top, basically, when you take into the math. And so it's 2% of $2 billion. Gets us to the 41 million. So they only made $2 billion in profit on a $4.65 billion sale.
Ah, yes. Was it where they said the world's tiniest violin plays for the Bolands, the poor Bolands? All right, thank you, Marshall. Colorado's Republican candidate for Senate, Joe Oday, is getting some national attention today for saying that he does not support President Trump running again in 2024. But the Oday campaign tells me if Trump is the Republican nominee, Oday will vote for Trump. Oday's comments on talk radio this morning echo what he said in the past on this, that he would like to see someone else as the Republican nominee in 2024, but that he will vote for Trump if Trump wins the GOP primary. Oday's trying to position himself as more moderate than a lot of Republicans in Washington these days, while he's simultaneously aligning himself with Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and committing to vote for President Trump if he's the one on the 2024 ballot. A new political group with out-of-state ties is promising to target Democratic Governor Jared Polis as he's up for re-election. This group's first video says they will put lead on the target. Democratic Attorney General Phil Weiser is calling on the group to take down the video, saying, quote, political ads suggesting gun violence have no place in Colorado or our political discourse.
Restore the Rockies is the best way to put lead on the target and keep it there until November 8th.
We don't know who is behind this group, Restore the Rockies. They don't have to make that public. The group was registered through a UPS store mailbox in Highlands Ranch. The physical address is a political accounting firm in Utah. Restore the Rockies says its mission is to support Republican candidate for governor Heidi Ganahl and to oppose Governor Polis. Ganahl's spokeswoman said she had not seen that put lead on the target video and therefore would not comment. It's not clear whether Restore the Rockies is a serious operation because the video is just an appeal for people's money. So we don't know if the group is going to be a significant force in the election or if it's simply one more effort to separate conservatives from their hard-earned cash. As prominent Democrats condemn their allies meddling in Republican primaries, trying to help boost election deniers, Democratic Senator Michael Bennet wanted no part of our questions about it. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger asked Senator Bennet about the failed efforts to boost a more extreme Republican in the race against him. Democrats from Colorado, including a former governor and 3 former senators, have said that this is a dangerous game that fellow Democrats are playing with democracy. We asked Senator Bennet, and 3 times he dodged.
I didn't have anything to do with those ads, but Marshall, what I would say about it is that I think that both candidates that were running in that primary are far outside the mainstream of Colorado's conventional political ideology.
Do you think it was irresponsible for your party to elevate people who deny elections and are frankly opposite of what Democrats would support?
I guess I would just say again, I think both of them are far too extreme for the state of Colorado.
But you don't think it's irresponsible to elevate election denier candidates?
I think what I would say is that I've been long said that we should reform the way our campaign finance system works, and that's what I believe.
Marshall also talked with Senator Bennet about what it is like having his party's agenda these days controlled by one man, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Marshall's full, unedited conversation with the senator is up on the next YouTube channel. Denver police still will not say if they shot bystanders in Lodo almost 3 weeks ago. Police did say that no one else that night fired a gun, and we have talked to the people who have holes in them. This morning at a Citizen Oversight Board meeting, the Director of Public Safety indicated that, yeah, Denver police did shoot bystanders.
The officers then fired. There were 3 officers that fired their service handguns. The suspect was hit, as were others in the crowd. The suspect, from all indications and evidence now, did not fire a round. The rounds that were fired at the subject were also struck other folks in the crowd.
That is the first time that we've heard a city official admit that. That is Armando Saldate, Director of Public Safety. He said the city's expecting to release police body camera video and halo surveillance video from what happened on August 16th. That video will show us what police saw for themselves on July 17th. Officers that night were responding to a fight in Lodo. They say a man named Jordan Waddy pulled a gun and pointed at them. 3 officers in total fired, they say. Waddy was hurt, but so were those 6 other bystanders. Saldate, the Director of Public Safety, said 1 officer fired 4 shots, another officer fired twice, 3rd officer fired once. As students go back to school, we know that teachers are paying hundreds of dollars out of pocket on average just to buy school supplies for their classrooms. There is an innovative idea in Aurora to try and lift that burden from teachers. And you all have raised almost $40,000 this week to stock up the free school supply store where every educator in Aurora can shop for their students. Your latest Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign is supporting Aurora Public Schools Foundation's Educator Emporium. That's what they call this store. If you want to get on this way to help teachers and their students who come from low-income families, just scan that QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491. Right now, this free store for Aurora's teachers is operating on donated supplies. The funds that we raise together will make sure that they are able to stock that store for teachers all year long and even into next year in case the donations dry up. More patients are coming to Colorado to get an abortion. It's putting a strain on providers in efforts to cover the costs. It's Friday, so we will always set aside time for joy.
My good news is I'm getting interviewed by 9 News at the moment.
Why is that good news?
That's great news because I got to be on the news.
Whatever your reason, let's celebrate your good news. And we're celebrating a birthday. 6 years of this program today. I have two groups of people to thank for that. Next. Abortion clinics in Colorado are struggling to keep up with the number of patients coming here to seek care. More people started coming when Texas restricted abortions last year, and the need is spiked since Roe was overturned and a number of states began banning abortion. Reproductive rights advocates hope that a recent voter decision in Kansas will at least keep that patient load from growing. Here's Katie Eastman.
For every state that bans abortion, Colorado abortion clinics and reproductive rights organizations brace for the inevitable influx of patients. In the last 45 days, Rocky Mountain Planned Parenthood says their locations have served 773 out-of-state patients. That's compared to 206 out-of-state patients in the same 45-day period last year. The organization Cobalt helps pay the way for many of those travelers with a fund for abortion-related travel expenses.
And I keep telling people, if you want to give to anything, give to practical support.
Cobalt's president, Karen Middleton, says they won't turn anyone away from help. So decisions like the one voters made in Kansas help them, too.
So, of course, Kansas has seen an increase in who they were taking care of, and I'm sure that will maintain. I think if they had to shut down, we would have seen a big crush of new patients.
Although Cobalt has found themselves paying much more for abortion-related travel, donations are coming in from all over.
6 people organized an event in Fort Collins. We didn't know them. They had 150 people there and raised $20,000. And they were all new. And it was amazing.
In all of last year, they raised $260,000 for the Practical Support Fund. It's already nearly doubled this year. Katie Eastman, 9 News.
We should mention there is a group in Colorado that is working on an effort to ban all abortions in this state. Colorado Life Initiative is collecting signatures to get a measure on the ballot for November. They need 125,000 signatures turned in by Monday. Colorado voters have repeatedly rejected anti-abortion measures on ballots in recent years. So we're watching the threat of flash flooding today near the Cameron Peak fire burn scar up in northern Colorado. So this is a pretty inopportune day for the National Weather Service's warning system to be down. Right now, NWS cannot send messages through their wireless emergency alert system, the WIA alerts we talked about so much. It's the Amber Alert style system that can reach all cell phones in a given area. That was the system that Boulder County couldn't yet use during the Marshall Fire. It's been a busy day for the kind of weather that can prompt those alerts, the flash flooding, but also a warning for this landspout tornado spotted near the airport. The National Weather Service says the issue is on FEMA's end. Local emergency managers on the county level do not appear to be impacted. Up in Larimer County, the head of their emergency telephone authority says their stuff's working fine. If there was a weather threat that required an alert on the WIA system, they could send it on behalf of the National Weather Service.
It certainly has been a busy weather day, really across the entire state. That flash flood warning around Larimer County, that's going to expire within the next 15 minutes time. Still some scattered thunderstorms, though, in and around the high country that I'm going to be keeping a close eye on, not just tonight, but through the weekend as well. Something for you to keep in mind as well. Okay, we're also dealing with the heat. Record-breaking heat, 101, our new record here in Denver. And, of course, today marking our 5th day with 100-degree temperatures so far this year. We were not the only ones into northern Colorado. Fort Collins and Greeley, the northeastern plains, also dealing with that heat. 90s in Kremling through Eagle and then out toward Grand Junction too. Tonight the radar is still pretty active out there. Here for the Front Range, I'm monitoring just a few light rain showers beginning to push through Highlands Ranch. And again, that flash flood warning looking to expire within the next 15 minutes time in Larimer County. Tonight, all the thunderstorms will push out tomorrow morning. Some sunshine to get your day going, your Saturday. Temps still on the warmer side, but we will be monitoring a few thunderstorms cruising across the Front Range off to the eastern plains between about 3 and 7 p.m. and then everything pushing off into Nebraska. Back to the low 90s we go. At least no triple digits here in Colorado. Close to it, though, in Lamar and Pueblo at 99 with some 70s up in the mountains. A beautiful spot to be. Cold front rolls in on Sunday. That drops off our temperatures to the lower 80s. We'll be tracking a better chance of storms. And then there's next week. The 90s are back before you know it.
My good news is that it's Friday and it's date night.
a Friday tradition, 6 years and running, and we'll reflect on the 6 years of this program and the impact that you all have made on the community together. That's next. Kids will be back in school before we know it. That is good news on a Friday for some moms and dads. I'm going to miss morning moments with my older daughter. But, you know, as volunteers headed out to spruce up classrooms before school begins in Denver, our photojournalist Tom Cole grabbed his camera and our favorite Friday question to ask them about their good news.
Next week we have our registration, so all of our students are coming through the building, all of their families for the first time. So they're going to be seeing all of this work next week. Yeah, that's good news.
My good news is my mother, 73 years old lover, finally retired.
We are beautifying the school grounds to give the students a fun way to get back to the school year.
My good news is that I ate ice cream.
And my good news is both my roommates just got their masters in social work.
My good news is that it's Friday and it's date night.
My good news is my manager called me in this morning and she said I have to work in Chicago next week. So I'm going to stay away from the kids. I can't wait.
Are your kids going to be sad when you leave?
Probably they're going to cry. My daughter, she's going to be really grumpy. So good luck, my husband. Probably. Good luck, Jeff.
The good news is that it's Friday, and who does not dislike a Friday?
I'm out here today because I'm here to support DPS. Just want to see kids come to school and just feel like they have a sense of pride and where they go and get their education.
Good news is I finally got to travel to Asia for the first time this summer. I spent 3 weeks in Vietnam, and it was absolutely breathtaking and amazing.
My good news is that I had an opportunity to give back to the community today.
Your good news, a staple of every Friday around here for the last 6 years. Yes, Next has been on the air for 6 years as of today. A word about a few people who made that possible, and those who wish it wasn't. Next. 6 years ago tonight, this newscast aired for the first time.
I'm Kyle Clark. This is Next.
Over about 1,500 weeknights since, we have celebrated what makes Colorado great. We've tried to scrutinize where it could be better, and we've pulled together to improve things where we could through your $9 million in microgiving to Colorado's nonprofits. Am I surprised that Next is still on the air after 6 years? Yeah, I am surprised. You know, we tried to do things differently, following your feedback for direction on what you wanted to see. And it's made some people upset. Next is still around for 2 reasons. First and foremost, we're here because you're here. You turned a long-shot idea into Colorado's most watched newscast. And I should say, that does not mean that Next is any good. It just means that you are there watching and holding us accountable for how we talk about the state that we share. I gotta be honest, we don't talk about this a lot. The other reason that Next is still on the air 6 years later is because the people in charge at 9 News have the backbone to stand up to the powerful interests that do not like the things that we say here. So, to the leadership here at 9 News and to all of you at home, thank you for making 6 years of Next possible. We're excited to get to work on year 7. See you next time.